and Cowherd's Son, and 4 chapbooks. He is winner of the 2015 Kundiman Prize, a 2015 Penn Heim Translation Fund grant, a finalist for the 2017 Lambda Literary Award in Gay Poetry, and has received fellowships from Voices of Our Nations Artists Foundation, Kundiman, the Home School, and American Institute of Indian Studies Language Program. He received his MFA in Poetry and Translation from Queens College, City University of New York, and his PhD in English from the University of Hawaii. Rajiv is currently a professor at Emerson University. October 24th, 1946. Rocket scientists in White Sands, New Mexico, launch a rocket that's able for the first time ever to take a picture of the Earth from space. We all imagined that that photo would change everything, or at least that's what these rocket scientists thought. But it didn't. It showed a beautiful Earthrise, just the top of the Earth showing as if it was peeping over a wall. Then again, in 1977, Apollo 17, on its mission, took a photo which is considered to be the most reproduced photo in history, and it's called the Blue Marble. The Blue Marble itself, now that we're all used to seeing the Earth from space, is not that remarkable, but the effect of the Blue Marble on the population of the Earth starting and going out as if somebody threw a rock in a puddle or a pond, a wave going through us, because it brought realization of the world, the way that it was suspended in space like a blue marble, everything beautiful, because we could see the whole of the world, not just the top of it as an Earthrise from behind some shadow of the moon, because we could imagine ourselves on the world. If we swam down through all of those miles, we knew that that picture in 1972, if you were alive, you were in that picture. Whether you were visible or not, depending on which side of the Earth you were on. But it was the first time that we, as Earthlings, as humans, received an encapsulated image that allowed us to imagine what it would be like to see the Earth from space. And why, you might ask yourself, why, Maudelle? Why are you babbling on about the Earth and space? It's because as I read and reread Rajiv's books today, I realized that the big difference between the two photos, the one of Earthrise with a moon shadow and the full blue marble, was about the encapsulation of the total world. In cuisine, we always talk about fusion. Well, fusion takes for granted that there's an artificial and prescriptive difference between cultures, and that artificial and prescriptive can be overcome by just a little mixing. And that's not the way Rajiv's poetic worlds exist at all. When you read Rajiv's poetry, not only do you realize that you're in the hand of a master, because the craftsmanship is intense and amazing, but you inhabit a world that's as unique as the poet himself. It's fully realized. Whether it's a festival, a spring festival in India, or someone in Queens that's a little drunk and ready for love, Rajiv makes his world whole and independent. It is that wholeness and independence that allows us to bring our humanity into this book. The wholeness and independence that allows us a chance to understand some parts of culture that may not be as familiar to us, and to bring our hearts to it and understand that that is what poetry is. Poetry is the opening of the world and the heart in the hands of a poet who shares his humanity in that way. I can't tell you how proud I am to invite Rajiv Mohabir to read for the second time at the Frost Place. I'm in awe of his talent, and I'm still a little fuzzy-headed from being in his poetic worlds this afternoon. Rajiv, thank you so much for everything you do, and thank you for reading to us tonight.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Oh my God, I'm like trying not to cry. I'll like ruin my makeup. So beautiful. Thank you, Maudelle. And I'm so happy to be here too. Like, thank you for organizing this, Gabby and Ross and Maudelle and Jake. Like, it's such an honor to be here at the Frost Place, or here at the Frost Place tonight. And I'm really excited to share my work with you. Oh, before I do, Maudelle, you were talking about craftsmanship, and I just kind of want to show off this beautiful piece to everybody that was hand wrought by Maudelle themselves. And if you see like this wonderful little pin here, it's like a beautiful little flower that mimicked some earrings that I was wearing the day that I received this. So I just wanted to kind of bring that back and to say like what a beautiful thing it is to be in your space and presence as well. So thank you. I'm going to start off with a little land acknowledgement. And I think that the challenging part for me was to think about the emotional honesty of the land acknowledgement. And I'm coming to you from outside of Boston in a town called Malden, which is the ancestral home of the Wampanoag and Wabanaki peoples. And the Wampanoag, also called Wampanoag, are a Native American people. There were a loose confederation of several tribes in the 17th century, but today the Wampanoag people encompass 5 officially recognized tribes: the Mashpee Wampanoag and the Wampanoag tribe of Gayhead in Massachusetts. And these 2 are federally recognized. And the Herring Pond, the Assawampset, Namakset band of Wampanoags, and the Pocasset Wampanoag tribe. And they are recognized by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. They lived in the southeastern Mass and Rhode Island in the beginning of the 17th century. And at the time of first contact with the English colonists, a territory that included the islands of Martha's Vineyards and Nantucket also were part of this land. Their population numbered in the thousands. 3,000 Wampanoag alone lived on Martha's Vineyard. And during this time of COVID, the Department of Interior decided that the Wampanoag Mashpee Reservation was land that they wanted to reclaim. And I'm going to read a little statement from the Mashpee Wampanoag tribe's official website. And I have for you here, I'm sending a PDF via the chat, and this is going to be with some of the links to what I'm talking about, plus one of the poems that I'm going to read. And so this is based on that first link in what I have sent. So last month, the United States District Court for the District of Columbia rendered a decision in favor of the Mashpee Wampanoag tribe in the case of Mashpee Wampanoag tribe versus Bernhardt. In its opinion, Judge Paul L. Friedman ruled, the court will grant the Mashpee tribe's motion for summary judgment and deny the federal defendants and defendant interveners motion for summary judgment. Furthermore, because the Secretary of the Interior's September 7th, 2018 record of decision is arbitrary, capricious, an abuse of discretion, and contrary to law, the court remands the matter to the Secretary of the Interior for a thorough reconsideration and re-evaluation of the evidence before him consistent with this opinion. The 2014 M opinion, M-37209, its standard and the evidence permitted therein, and the department's prior decisions applying the M-opinion's 2-part test. For the first time since the termination era, the Department of the Interior, the DOI, attempted to disestablish a tribal reservation, ordering the homelands of the Mashpee Wampanoag tribe to be taken out of trust. The order from DOI Secretary David Bernhardt came on March 27, 2020, as the tribal nation worked to respond to the COVID-19 public health emergency during active litigation on the status of the land, and following the recession of the 2014 Carcieri M- opinion, and the insurance of a 4-part test to qualify under the first definition of Indian in the Indian Reorganization Act, the IRA. On March 30th, 2020, the Mashpee Wampanoag tribe asked the court to issue an emergency restraining order to prevent the DOI from taking immediate action to disestablish its reservation. So as you can see, we've been or these folks have been mired in a land grab that's happening even today. And so the next link that I've provided for you, you can see a little bit of the history of where the people are and where they have come. And I want to share with you a poem by Alfred de Grasse. And he was a poet writing in he lived in 1890 and died in 1978. And the first poem that I'm going to read for tonight can be found in Dawnland Voices, an anthology of Indigenous writing from New England, edited by Siobhan Senier. And this is from page 439. A little bit about the poet himself is that he attended the Carlisle Indian School in Pennsylvania, graduating in 1911 with other Abenaki and Wampanoag poets and writers. He was active in student leadership, serving as vice president of a senior class and treasurer of the debating society, the Invincibles, of which Tahamont was a member. Although attending Carlisle was traumatic for many of the students, de Grasse's writing expresses some pride. The Carlisle Arrow, for which he wrote the following piece, reported that he attended commencement and school basketball games after his own graduation and kept in touch with the school by letter about his travels, including a trip to Texas and to California. And so the poem that I'll read for us today is this piece called About Poison Ivy. If you've downloaded the PDF, you'll notice also that I've given you a kind of writing exercise to extend this land acknowledgement into your actual creative practice. So about poison ivy. Poison ivy belongs to what is called the Rhus family of plants. When it grows in an upright position, it is called poison oak. Poison ivy is found in most every locality, in the woods, along the roadsides, in the swamps, and in the meadows. The most common place it is found is growing on stone walls. The leaves are oval and pointed at the top. They are from 4 to 6 inches long and from 3 to 5 inches wide. The edges are sometimes notched, but are mostly found with plain edges. The upper side of the leaves has a lustrous color and the underside has a downy covering. The young leaves have a lustrous brownish color and are always found in groups of 3. The flowers are of a greenish yellow and grow in drooping clusters. The berries grow in small clusters like grapes. In late summer, they are a light brown color and later on, they change to white. Although ivy is poison, the juice is extracted and used as medicine. When one is poisoned by ivy mix, 2 teaspoons of pure carbolic acid, 2 tablespoons of glycerin, and 1/2 pint of water or rose water, and bathe the affected parts, or rub the affected parts well with Grindalia. And this was written in 1909. And I thought I'd share this poem with you as we think about being at the Frost Place. And I know now, from firsthand experience that in the Northeast and New England, there's tons of poison ivy, actually. As a matter of fact, yesterday, I went for a walk and was looking at this beautiful plant very closely. And so, yes, I invite you to look at that writing prompt and to follow it as you can. It's anachronistic, and also it tends to blend my own kind of thinking into the poem that we have read. So the first poem that I'll read to you of my own tonight is called The Poco Kid. And since we don't have any captions for this, I'm also sending a PDF via the chat so that you can have an accessibility copy if you need one. This is a chutney poem that's based on Indo-Caribbean music. And the Poco kid means, clearly the post-colonial kid. One of the things that I'll say about this form that I'm working with that's migrated from a kind of Caribbean folk song is that the chorus is written in Caribbean Hindustani. I'll read it to you in the original language, and at the bottom of the poem, at the end of the poem, I will read to you the translation. The Poco kid. Matahet logan bol na sakela. Darasana nihi murja ke marad. Let's get one thing queer. I'm no Sabu-like sidekick. I'm the main drag. Ram Ram in a sari, salam on the street. I don't speak Hindu, Paki, or Indian. Can't control minds, have no psychic powers. I clip my yellow nails at dusk. On Saturday nights, I shave my head. Forgive me, Shiva. Forgive me, Saturn. I'm coolie on Liberty Ave, Desi in Jackson Heights, where lights spell season's greetings to cover Christmas, Diwali, and Eid. Where white folks in ethnic aisles ask, will your parents arrange your bride? While Ma and I scope out fags, gaff and laugh, while aunties thread our eyebrows. The subaltern cannot speak. Representation has not withered away. And the Caribbean Hindustani chorus here is from Gayatri Spivak's famous essay, Can the Subaltern Speak? Now, thinking about this theme of colonization, and this is something that I've been thinking about a lot, especially now, given the climate that we are in politically and where I see myself as a writer, in between so many different cultures, being Caribbean, being American, between Christian cultures of the Caribbean and Hindu cultures of both the Caribbean and India, as well as the United States. I present this poem that I call Dominion, and it has an epigraph from Genesis 1:26. And God said, let us make man in our image after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over the earth, all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. Dominion. A mandrake quickened into greed grab, tore a page from Genesis. Clods of earth are clods of God. Clods of earth are clods of dendrites with dirt skirting the roots. Let there be light skins and colored skins, one to rule the other. Manifest destinations of evening's pitch plague the heart's thirst for extinction. Memory of the untouched is the more beautiful object. From the streets, a humpback's gashed fin laments this justice. Its skin scarred with extinction's dusk, body owned by light. I strike a candle against ruin, against the separation of day and night. I should also mention that I tonight, as kind of like an experiment, am reading all new work, or all work in my forthcoming collection called Cutlish. It'll be out from Four-Way Books in 2021. So this is a moment where I thought I would bring these new poems, new poems to the Frost Place to have a breath. This next poem was inspired by my trip to the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And I went there with my mom. And as we were walking around the Indian art, artifacts that had been purloined from temples, stolen from temples, gouged out of temples, we walked by and we could see the remnants of prayer that people had performed on these holy statues. And my mom, subconsciously started singing a prayer. And the heartbreaking part of this, it was that she only had a fragmented memory of what that prayer was. And when she read, or when she sang the prayer, it sparked something in me. So this poem is called South Asian Art Exhibit, Metropolitan Museum of Art, and it's also a chutney poem. Hamar jigarawa se bhi usans lutal, okar sisuwa mein akiya suratya sab thera. My mother walks to the Ganesh statue, drawn to its bronze, an image once stolen, now in the public domain. Once he perched in Tamil Nadu. Once he sat on Mount Meru. Once he was tin and copper. Once my mother's mother knew her real name before planters heated her and poured her into sand. Return me to India, cross the sea to our river? Where do Pargana's villages, wheat fields green? Who can remember? Colonization is erasure of memory. Ma sings shards of prayer. Sri Guru Charana, to gods broken from temples, dancing gods cut down at the feet, mounted uptown on 86th Street. They even steal the breath from our throats. In their mirror, our eyes, our faces warped. And I think it would be helpful to say something a little bit about my history, is that after the British abolished the international slave trade, 1838 marked the first year that indentured laborers from India were conscripted as coolie labor to go to the Caribbean to work the sugarcane plantations, not just the Caribbean, all over wherever the British had their, insidious and virulent empire. So places like Reunion, Mauritius, South Africa, Fiji, and the Caribbean, places like Guyana, which my family is from, Trinidad, Guadeloupe, and Jamaica, as well as Belize. And so with this history of bondage comes this type of music that blends Guyanese Creole or Caribbean Creole, Caribbean Hindustani, and English. And so these are all based on a form of poem or a form of song called the Chutney Song, made popular by a man named Sundar Popo in the 1960s. And so the next poem that I'm going to read for you is called Folk Song. Ek ko tikana ke khoj mein urli, jungle gujar ke hamar mulk nahi. You drown in a flood of birdsong. Don't trouble with lyrics. The body is disjoint, warbler and robin, children of broken eggs. How long can the belly hold a flame? Lighting perch to perch in sage migration. Take these petals of joy. Place them on your tongue. Something inside does not still. A cardinal flame lights into dicot fireworks. This is your chest. This is your garden. Searching for a single perch, I wing jungle to jungle. I have no country. And now I'm going to change gears real quick. to end with two short poems. The first one is called Banjara, and it means wanderer. And with this theme of migration, I present this poem, which I've written in memory of the wonderful poet and memoirist and essay writer Mina Alexander, who was born in 1951 and passed tragically in 2018. Mina Alexander and I share a birthday, February 17th. She was born in the village that my mom's father's family was from in India. It's called Allahabad in the town, in the state of Uttar Pradesh. And so this is my poem in memory of Mina Alexander, high femme South Asian diva who I just adore. All of her scarves were just so incredibly fabulous. I mean, I'm wearing a scarf now and you can kind of see the mirrors, but this is nothing. This is just like cotton and wool. Mina had the real thing always. So, Banjara. On my birthday, you were born in my grandfather's town. The same amber dust settles on us both, ready for monkey tails, paintbrushes. What a surprise to learn I am like you, not from any metropolis of God, wandering beneath jonquils, peepal trees, the spring cherry petals of New York, showering the city's black rivers in pink, the torn sails of my mother's silk. An Urdu poet asks, what rest finds the wanderer? The smell of burning garbage, the early morning fog hides each sleeping body. Flower buds. Yes, I like your wool scarf. And I could have pushed my fevered body uptown that day, even if it did deck me in the jaw. Had I known the Urdu word for the resurrection fern, would you know I mean in drought, fronds turn umber until some random drop breathes green back into forgotten feathers. One day, I too will wear sky. Now, this last poem, it's very, very short, I promise you. It's called Remain, and it's when I lived in Auburn, Alabama. Actually, it wasn't Auburn. It was a town outside of Auburn called Opelika. And when we moved into this house, on the doorstep, there was like the vertebrae of a deer that the landlord had left for us. And I was like, what a thoughtful gift. I have jars of various skulls that I found on my walks and, you know, all kinds of animal objects. And I thought that this was just so wonderful and terrible. And then Angels Antiques is a flea market, let's say, that you can find, you know, remains of animals as well as paraphernalia and, you know, horrible trophies that used to belong to Nazis and Confederates. And so this is a very interesting space for me to have had inhabited in my very queer, very brown body. Remain. On the threshold of vertebra, is there only inside and outside of a house, either carpet of grass or wool? I imagine a whitetail's breath, fog against winter, and the finality of vultures, soaring shadows on the expanse of a clearing. A black feather in the dooryard, a yearling's antler, dusty in a bin at Angel's Antiques. Soon bone and keratin undo their dresses, relinquish a bodice of proteins to soil. Here, my tomatoes yellow in the shade, and we too are gone soon. I have never been more earth than earth. Your foot already planted outside. Thank you so much for listening to me, and thank you so much for the honor of having to present and to read for you tonight.
Everyone can unmute if they want to.